Dr. Abs is a scammer and a fraud. That might sound like a bold claim, but stick with me here because I have the receipts, and I would never make any claim like this without having receipts. Dr. Abs has been sending fake cease and desist letters and threats of lawsuits in an effort to silence critics and even his former patients who have spoken out against his questionable and even horrible practices. These letters weren't just idle threats, they contained forged signatures from a legal assistant at a reputable UK law firm. And he also used faked versions of the firm's official letterhead. He sent these letters to YouTubers and even former patients. And as if this situation couldn't even get worse enough, he used private patient data, information entrusted to him in a medical context, to send these fake legal threats. Now, that's not just unethical, that's seriously a breach of trust and potentially criminal. So, for instance, I've been talking to multiple former patients of Dr. Abs. Whenever they, had a concern with him, Dr. Abs went into their private patient medical records that they entrusted with him. Then he found their address, their workplace address, and he would send these fake legal lawsuits and threats using a particular UK firm name, and we'll touch on that later. He even forged the lawyer's signature, right? And in order for him to do this, he should have gone to court, and he should have gotten a sort of subpoena to get that sort of private information. But instead, he, sidestepped that and went into their private medical records. So how did I find this out? Well, this all started when Dr. Abs tried to get my YouTube channel taken down by submitting a false copyright takedown of a video where I debunked his claims about topical testosterone propionate being some kind of anti-aging miracle, especially for women. And spoiler alert, it's not. His claims are based on outdated science. At one point, he even told a woman in his comment section that if they were to use the topical testosterone propionate on their face, they wouldn't stimulate any sort of facial hair growth, which is absurd. You can ask any trans man, female to male trans, who has been on testosterone, whether topically or orally, or maybe they've done injections, they'll tell you exactly what happens, right? And we have tons of studies that show the contrary. I'll put them on the screen here. Just keep in mind that Dr. Abs sells the topical testosterone propionate between 1 to 2% concentration. But look, this was going to be a science video, but this isn't a science video anymore. This is about how Dr. Abs is actively scamming and threatening people to the point where he's committed fraud. And I have a lot of confidence to say this. So after I submitted a counterclaim to YouTube on Dr. Abs' false copyright takedown DMCA on my video responding to him, he used the personal contact details that YouTube shares with the claimant, being Dr. Abs, the person that files the copyright. He used those personal details and sent me a cease and desist letter demanding that I remove all public commentary about him. So to put it simply, I gave YouTube my personal contact information, and YouTube by law would have to forward this to Dr. Abs. So I know that Dr. Abs sent this letter because I put very specific information that no one else has. What I find to be odd about this situation is that when I first uploaded my response video to Dr. Abs, he actually commented under my video saying I did a good job and that he wanted to have a discussion, and I accepted this. But he never followed through with this sort of discussion or debate, and he went completely radio silent. And yet now, today, or a couple weeks ago in March 2025, I'm receiving a legal threat from his official email address, along with getting DMCA takedown notices of a video that was completely fair use. But that's when I knew that something was off, because when I looked at the letter itself, I was like, hey, this doesn't sound right. He's threatening to take me to an international court with The Hague and all these things. It doesn't really make sense. Why would that be happening to me? Like, sure, okay, if you argue that I made a copyright violation, which I didn't, that's one thing, but the threats just seemed so extraordinary. I can't see any sort of reputable law firm actually co-signing this. So I posted the letter and my concerns on Reddit. The letter accused me of both defamation and copyright infringement, and it even included my own email and comments that I made towards Dr. Abs after the takedown. So it clearly was him he went through the recent comments I made to him after he took down my video, and he included that in this letter. Now, let's get to the law firm itself. This letter claimed to be from a UK law firm by the name of Mishcon, Reya, and this firm is known for handling high-profile defamation lawsuits in the United Kingdom, where free speech protections are far weaker than in the United States of America. Because here in the States, we have this law called Anti-SLAPP laws. And these are laws that protect people like me and you from being sued into silence by corporations or wealthy individuals trying to weaponize the legal system. Now, the SLAPP aspect of the Anti-SLAPP laws stands for Strategic Lawsuit Against Public Participation, or SLAPP. And this abuse of the law is used as a scare tactic, again, to put critics into submission by burying them in legal fees. Many U.S. states have protections in place, and, victims can usually sue the accuser to recover costs. But, again, going back to this letter wasn't just a scare tactic. It was a straight-up forgery. Dr. Abs had taken the name of a real associate of the law firm and pretended that she was representing him. He even called her a King's Counsel, and this is the United Kingdom equivalent of a senior legal counsel or a special prosecutor of some type. At least that's what we call it here in the United States of America. When I checked the Mishcon Reya website, she was listed only as an associate, not a King's Counsel. That was my first red flag. So I did what any rational person would do. I CC'd both Dr. Abs and the lawyer he claimed to be working with, let's call her SH, in my email response. SH replied quickly, and she was confused and said she had no idea who Dr. Abs was, and that she had never sent any letter on his behalf. At one point, she even blocked my phone number when I was trying to call her. So I thought that she was maybe covering for him. When I pressed her further in emails about what was going on, that's when SH told me to stop contacting her or her colleagues, and, that kind of pissed me off. So I escalated the situation. I CC'd her manager and several other people at the firm. And sure, it's a bit aggressive, but again, SH didn't respond as if she was going to forward the concern to her higher-ups, and essentially told me, again, to stop messaging her. Given the circumstances where we possibly have a guy sending out forgeries, as well as fake legal letters, masquerading her law firm in order to silence and intimidate patients of his, as well as other people online, I thought that this was a very much needed and appropriate step. That's when one of the Mishcon Reya directors personally responded to my email. Now, they had the gall to say that my conduct was poor in the matter and that I shouldn't have CC'd everyone at the firm, but for the aforementioned reasons, I really couldn't care less. And that's probably why I sent pictures of Demon King Von. But anyway, in all seriousness, if someone is using your firm's ethos to harass and intimidate people, forging the signature of one of your employees and your letterhead in order to harass others, you should be grateful that you were CC'd. But nevertheless, this UK-based law firm confirmed that Dr. Abs never was a client of theirs and that the letters were faked by him, and that they are now launching an internal investigation and an investigation overall on the matter. So yes, guys, the letter was fake, the signature was forged, and the threats were all a lie. Dr. Abs is a fraud, he's a scammer, and he's trying to suppress the information that I'm giving to you guys about this whole ordeal. And again, it wasn't just me. Soon after I started posting this information on Reddit, I was hearing from people were messaging me, former patients, people who were criticizing Dr. Abs, and they too said that they were sent these legal threats and letters. One of them even contacted the firm and confirmed that the letter that they received, this former patient, was fraudulent. But get this, guys, this letter wasn't sent by email like in my case. It was physically mailed to their home address in the United Kingdom, an address that Dr. Abs had access to only because this person was a former patient of his. This means that he used confidential patient records to send a fake legal threat and forged documents in order to silence them after they complained about his services. Look, the pattern is clear. Dr. Abs is forging legal documents, impersonating lawyers, misusing private health information, and weaponizing intimidation to silence criticism. This isn't just a shady thing, it's fraudulent, it's abusive, and in my opinion, it's very criminal. If we look at United Kingdom law, Dr. Abs accessed patient records and used private medical data to send fake legal threats, which is a clear violation of multiple laws in the United Kingdom. Under the UK General Data Protection Regulation, or UK GDPR, as well as the Data Protection Act of 2018, personal and sensitive data, especially health information, can only be used for the specific purpose of which it was collected, such as a medical diagnosis or a treatment. Using that data for a different purpose, such as sending fabricated legal threats, is considered unauthorized processing and is explicitly prohibited under Article 5, Section 1B of the UK General Data Protection Regulation Act. Health data is classified as, quote, special category data, unquote, under Article 9, Section 1, and misuse of it can lead to civil penalties and criminal prosecution. And again, let's remind everyone once more, Dr. Abs forged legal documents, including the name and signature of a real associate at the UK law firm. This constitutes as an offense under the Forgery and Counterfeiting Act of 1981, specifically Section 1, which makes it a crime to make a false instrument, such as a fake legal letter, with the intent that it is accepted as genuine. Sending such documents to intimidate critics or former patients may also fall under the Protection from Harassment Act 1997, which criminalizes a, quote, course of conduct, unquote, that amounts to harassment and causes the victim alarm or distress, especially if the conduct involves threats or repeated targeting. Look, Dr. Abs is a dentist in the United Kingdom, which means he's bound by the ethical and professional standards of the General Dental Council, also known as the GDC. The GDC standards for the dental team explicitly state that the patient information must be held in strict confidence, used only for the purpose for which it was provided, and never used to pursue grievances or retaliation. So, with this sort of misuse of confidential data for harassing and intimidating his former patients, this can result in a suspension of his practice and also the removal of him being a doctor. And I'm going to be showing the screenshots from one of the former patients here because he was also harassed by Dr. Abs. He actually followed up again. He followed up with the law firm, and the law firm said, yeah, we had nothing to do with this. Dr. Abs is lying. This is insane. This is an insane situation, and he didn't need to do this. And by the way, he did actually send these documents. You can see these comments over here he made on my channel. He admitted to this. Why would he do this? I don't know. And there's also some other things too. There were some women that were messaging me saying that they grew facial hair from using his topical testosterone propionate, and that Dr. Abs actually misguided them and gave them horrible information. Some of these women were having elevated serum levels of testosterone, so, that's not a good thing. Dr. Abs is very irresponsible. He's a fraud. Don't take him seriously. And Abs, if you have a problem with me, you can comment in the comment section below. Before I end this video, I'm just going to jump in real quick and talk. I don't really feel comfortable about Dr. Abs' cancer research claims. He's asking people if they have money, if they're a high net worth individual, to give him money so he can research ways to prevent and even cure cancer. And he's also making claims that this particular product called Sinicos, I never heard of it before, I don't really care about it, it just seems like a gimmick product, but he claims that it has these sort of, anti-cancer properties, right? That it can actually treat and prevent cancer. Now, that's a very bold claim to make, and bold claims require, ample amounts of proof, especially when you're making claims about cancer. And you, as a dentist, and, I'm just a guy on YouTube, I'm not a doctor, but you're a dentist, right? And you're claiming in many videos that you're curing atherosclerosis with a carnivore diet. By the way, that's bullshit. That you're treating cancers by using, Sinicos, this skincare product. Bullshit. and now you're asking for money so you can do cancer research. Even more bullshit, right? And this BS is even further amplified just by his advice. Listen to his videos. He's going on about saying, oh, you don't need hyaluronic acid because your fibroblasts are very intelligent, as if the human body is a perfect machine, right? Just bullshit. So guys, be critical. This guy's a fraud, in my opinion, and I'm not even going to say in my opinion anymore. He's a fraud, right? And when this investigation goes underway, he'll be exposed for it. So if you guys also want to report him as well to the GDC, links in the description. You can see his ID that's publicly available, right? He is a doctor. This is public information that he has put out himself on his websites, in his forums. Not any sort of monikers. This is literally him. And you can get this from the UK government themselves. But if you guys want to report him, all the links are in the description. So avoid Dr. Abs, very weird guy. And yeah, that's it for the video. Peace out, guys.